Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Patricia Stuart of Patricia Stuart Originals. So I tried this transfer using Ink Aid. Now it's a solution that you mix with 4 ounces of 91% rubbing alcohol in a bottle. And you have to let it sit for about 4 hours before you can use it. But it's the only transfer that I've found that works for me. I have an inkjet printer, and so it doesn't really work well with transferring photos. So I found out about Ink Aid, saw how it worked, thought I'd give it a try. And as you can see, I had a photo that I printed out. They give you a clear film that you print out your photo on from your printer. And I did that with this photo of the Eiffel Tower, and it transferred. Now my edges got raggedy because I tried to pull it up a little too soon. It's a little gummy, but that's fine because I had a square frame around it, and I kind of like the way the edges came out. And after you transfer it, you have to give it maybe an hour and a half or 2 to thoroughly dry. And I transferred it onto my mixed media paper. So that's the only thing that really worked for me. And I thought I'd let you guys know about it if you haven't heard about it. If you wanted to do transfer using Ink Aid, you can go inkaid.com. You can go on YouTube, type in the search Ink Aid, and you'll see how it works. So I thought that I would attempt this time to try it where you can see how it comes out. I had did one before, however, the very first time I was trying it out, let's see, this is still a little wet, but I did this one. And it came out well. Again, I'm learning with the edges to be careful. But I ended up liking the fact that the edges ended up being scraggly like this. And so I'll probably do some collage around it. But it does transfer. Okay, so I thought today I printed out on film this one, picture of Venice, a waterway in Venice. And when you print out your photo, you have to flip it so that when you actually lay it down, it'll be in the right format that you want it in. So I'm going to apply the solution. I'm using my it's not a sketchbook, my journal. This has very thick pages. So I'm going to apply because you have to really apply this. Now my picture comes all the way. And I find with most of my paper, it's sort of soaking in the liquid. So I hope this comes out well. clip it. Now you can't apply a lot. Some air bubbles get underneath. You can't move this around. It has to make contact with the solution on the paper. It's a gentle, and you still might get some air bubbles in here. I'm hoping that this is making contact with the liquid without disturbing. I can see some air bubbles that make it very hard for the liquid to go through. And this, they say, you have to let sit for about 3 minutes, but that, to me, if you're using a small photo, I've been using larger photos. I've had to apply a little bit more of the ink aid. I have to get better at laying this down where there's not a lot of air getting trapped. When the air gets trapped, that part doesn't come out. So let's hope that this, at least the majority of this, comes out with clarity. And so I've also found that I need to leave it for maybe a good 15 minutes because I'm working with a large photo on thick paper, and I left this one for about 15 minutes, and my edges still were a bit gummy. Maybe I used a little bit too much, but at least 15 minutes and it released for me. So I'm going to give this some time to do its thing, and we'll see what happens. Okay, I left this for 20 minutes, and my edges are still wonky, but we're going to peel this up anyway, slowly. Still a little sticky. So I'm not sure if I put a little bit too much liquid on or not. I think maybe I used a little too much. That's making my edges stick like that. But nonetheless, here is the transfer. And I do kind of like the rough edging. So ink aid works, and it works pretty well. And I wanted to try larger pieces like this as opposed to, a really small piece. And I wanted to try a lot of color, a piece that had a lot of deep color to see how it would transfer. And it transfers pretty well. So this is a winner for me when I'm ready to do some photo transfers. The ink aid works. And so a couple of things though, you cannot reuse the film at all. And You have to use, I guess, the film that they send. I bought a sample packet. In that sample packet, you saw the bottle. Um, that bottle, you're only using uh, 1 tablespoon to 4 ounces of alcohol, rubbing alcohol. So that bottle will last me a lot of transfers. And it's just a sample package that comes with the transferee solution. And they give you 6 sheets of the film, very thin film. And you cannot use like the overprojector film. You can't use that, especially on an inkjet printer. Whatever you print out on it, it beads up. The ink just beads up on it. So you really need to use the transfer film that Ink Aid sells. And also, I know there was one other thing I wanted to mention. You have to follow the directions they give you. And if you order it and you get your package, you go back on their site. There's a video there, and you can see how it is done. But I know there was something else I wanted to mention. And the other thing was, I wanted to try it on different paper. This is, my sketchbook paper, mixed media. And this is dry now. And it worked well. And this is a really thick paper in my journal, very thick. And again, it works well. And so I wanted to try out those things to see what's the best papers to use it on for me. Yeah, so you may want to try your hand at some transfers. Perhaps if you have a laser printer, it's not a problem, because then you could just put a coat of paint on your gel plate, put down your magazine page, and pull, and there you get a nice transfer. Or if you're printing something from your computer, you can, if you have a laser printer, you can print out what you need to print out, put your coat of paint, black or dark color, and pull your print. But if you have an inkjet, it's a little bit different. The other thing that Ink Aid mentions is that there are different inkjet printers. My inkjet printer has pigment ink as well as dye. And the color ink on my printer actually are dyes, and then the black is pigment. And they say that it works better with pigment ink. But as you can see, my ink on my inkjet is dye ink. And then I have another cartridge that's just black. That's pigment. But even though they said ink works better, I've showed you here that even with my dye ink, it still comes out. Now they say they give you a demonstration of both. Now the pigment ink may have gotten this with a little bit more clarity. It may have given a more sharper of this one. But, for me, it's okay. For the purposes of which I'm using it, it's clear enough and it's okay. So check your, if you don't know what types of ink your printer does, check your model number, go online, and they'll tell you if it's pigment ink or dyes. So my color ink is dye. and it still worked well enough for me. Okay, so I just wanted to show you, because I've done over 200 videos on YouTube, but I've never tried the, ink transferring photos and pictures and things like that. And so I did some research investigating what may work. And so you may want to try your hand at the ink aid and see how it comes out. And this is going to take a while to dry, maybe a couple of hours before it's thoroughly dry. But I'm glad that I tried it. Thanks for joining me today. Keep doing art. Till next time.